2.0 is ready. And in this video I'm going to show you how to use this free and open source laser cutting software. The first time you open the app, it will look something like this. And the first thing you have to do is to configure your machine. For that, you go to Machine and then Machine Settings. And then it depends on what kind of controller your machine has. Let's say you have a GRBL controller, then you can select that here in the list. Then of course you have to select the other parameters, for example, the port to which your device is connected, the baud rate, and that should be it if you have a GRBL machine that is connected via serial port. I'm not going to go into detail for every type of device for this video. That would be for another one. There's also another option to create machines if your machine is one that has a machine profile. For that you go to the general settings, then to machines, and there you can add a new machine based on a profile. So far we don't have a lot of profiles here, but if you have one of these machines, then you can just select that and you would get the fully configured machine already. Assuming your device is configured, the first thing you probably want to do is import some image that you want to work on. You can also, instead of importing an image, draw directly in Rayforge, but I will show you that later. Let's start by importing something. So I click the import button. And let's import this SVG here, and in the import image dialog you can choose which parts of the SVG do you actually want to import. Multi-layer SVGs are supported. This example has only one layer, so I can just import everything. I can choose whether to import this to the currently selected layer or whether to create a new layer instead. I think the current layer is fine in this case. And I also have the option to trace the result. If the SVG is more complex and has more, or for example has text with a font that you have not installed, then using the vectors will not work. In that case, you should probably then trace the result. Then you get a different geometry. You can then choose which color or which threshold you want to import. But in this case, I will just use the direct vector import. It gives me the highest quality vectors, so it's the best way to do it if you can. So then the workpiece appears right here on the surface. And you can zoom in and look into it, and you see that already a magenta line appeared around this. That is because here there's already one step added to the workflow. Steps are the operations that are performed on your workpieces. In this case, a contour operation is performed. So all the contours would be cut or scored using your laser. And if you want to configure this, then you can go here to this button, the settings, the step settings, and there you can make changes. You can remove the inner paths, or you can create offsets inside or outside. But let's go with the default settings for now. And then I can show you what this will look like. You can go to the preview. Up here you have the 3D button. When you press that, you will see exactly what the machine will do. You can see the G-code here, and you can zoom in just to confirm that everything is as expected. But maybe you don't want to score or outline the result. Maybe instead you want to engrave it. Then what you do is add a new step here. You can choose several operations. Let's go with the raster engraving step. And if you wait a few seconds, then it's done calculating, and then you will see nothing. That is because you have to define the threshold. Which areas do you want to engrave? Then open the settings here, and you can see the threshold is right now set to 128. It means everything that is brighter than 128 is not rendered. So in this case, I want to go higher, so that this blue is considered an area to be engraved, and as you see, now this is being engraved. Then let's zoom in a bit. One recommendation when you do engrave things is to offset the contours a little bit. It can lead to sharper looking results. So I go into the contour settings here and change this from centerline to outside. And a little bit, if you paid attention, it moved to the outside. But you can also increase the offset. By default, it offsets by the amount of the curve, so by the width of your laser, basically. But you can add extra offset up here. Let's say you want to make this 1 millimeter just to show you how much it would move. Then the outline would leave a lot of space in there. You probably don't want this much. The curve is usually enough, but let's add 0.1 extra on top of the standard offset. And you always should confirm in the 3D view if everything is correct, because this shows you really what the output is. And you will also see the updated G-code here. What you can also do, if you're still not sure if you want to send this to your machine, is use the simulator. For that, you go to View, and then Simulate Execution. And then you see here, cross appeared, and then you can press play. And it will show you exactly in which order things would be engraved on your laser engraver. Okay, so this is a simple engraving that you can then send to your machine. Let's leave edit mode, simulation view again. You can also toggle off the G-code view. And then if you want to send this to your machine, you have to press this button here. This is right now inactive for me because my machine is not connected. If it's connected, then you would see that here. And it would start engraving. Of course, one thing you probably want to do is you want to know where is your actual raw material so that you can align it with what is here on the screen. There are 3 options to do that. Option 1 is if your device has a camera, then you can connect the camera and you would see the picture of your working surface exactly here in the app. But for now, let's not do that. Option 2 is probably the easiest for beginners. It's to use framing. So what you do is you click this button up here. This is also only active if your machine is connected and if you have properly configured your framing power. So the framing power is, I have to search. It's under the laser settings. And for each of the laser heads that your machine has, you can configure the frame power. So let's say here, I want this to be 1% of the total power output of the machine. Then I would put in 1 here. And that is necessary. If you did not configure that, then the frame button will also be inactive. So then you can press this button, and then what happens is the laser drives around the engraving area 20 times. And with the laser power set to very low setting, you can see where the laser would be engraving and can place your raw material there. So that is option 2, to place your material. Option 3 is a little bit more for advanced users. That is about work coordinate systems and fixtures. So for example, if you have mounted a bracket or something in your machine that you know the location of, then you can configure some presets here, work coordinate systems, and tell Rayforge exactly where these presets are, and then you will get this shown in the app. So if you have your work piece, let's say at the 1010 location, because you have some fixture in your device that helps you align it always to 1010, then you could say that is my G55, and I say 1010, and then you save this, and then you get here a marker that here is the actual workpiece, and then all you have to do is align this here to the 1010 position, and then you probably don't need to frame anymore because you already know that the area is correct or the location is correct, and you can just press play. And you can configure multiple fixtures. You can have multiple locations that are predefined, and then you would just have to select it from the list. E54 is at the standard machine 0, E55 would be in the 1010, and you can preset many other locations that you want the app to remember and that you can use in the future as shortcuts. But for now, let's assume that this is location. Then all you have to do is press play, and then it would be sent to the machine, and you would see here live in the app the laser movements as well, and the progress. You also see down here the time estimate, and when you start it, you will also see the time remaining. But let's go back to the start. Let's say you don't want to design or don't have an existing design and you want to draw instead directly in Rayforge. For that, you can create sketches in Rayforge. Click here on Add Asset, and you can add a sketch. And here you can, let's say we want to create some text. This is new with Rayforge 1.0, was just recently added. You can create a text box here by selecting this and then clicking wherever you want to have the text. Let's click here and type Rayforge. And now you can also configure the font. Let's use Arial bold, for example. Let's make it also a little bit larger, 20. Select. And the cool thing here is you can draw other geometry too. Let's add, for example, a rounded rectangle around this, something like this. And the sketcher is parametric. That means you can define here the geometry in real-world dimensions. Let's say this line here is now 100 millimeters long. Just double-clicked it and entered the number. Or I want to say the distance between this point and this point. Then I right-click again. And then I can add here a distance constraint. And now it is 35.6. I can double-click that and edit it. 40 millimeters. And now that is exactly this dimension. And what I can also do in the sketcher is align this with the text here, for example. First, let me put this exactly in the center of the sketch. To do that, I select here the center point, then 2 points that I want to be symmetric around that point, and then I press S for symmetry. And now this is symmetric here. And now I can do the same thing with the text. Select the center point, select 2 points, press S. I selected wrong. And it will flip exactly into the center as well. Yeah, and here you can always change all dimensions. Let's say I want to define the radius here to be 5 millimeters, and everything updates accordingly. And now you see that it turned green. that tells you that now this is fully constrained, meaning there's nothing here that you could add to make this look any different. The dimensions fully specify the geometry. Let me show you how it looks to change something here. I can change this to 120 now, and now it will update. And then if I press finish, and now you see this appear on your work surface, and actually you will see a problem here. Look very closely at the top line. It looks a little strange. It looks like there are two lines, and here there are many small lines as well. The reason for that is that right now both operations, the contour operation and the raster engrave operation, are working on all parts of this image. So let me disable the contour operation so you can see this better. And you can see some of these lines here are actually rastered. This is of course not what you want in this case. And that is why you should always keep geometry separate if you want to apply different operations to it. So the right thing to do here would be to edit this sketch, remove this rectangle, and put this into a separate sketch. So you can put the raster operation on this one here, and then you can put the contour operation on the other one. Let me do that real quick. So now if I click finish, I have both again, but again, same problem, raster engraving also applies to this. And that's what layers are for. So here you can add a new layer. And then I take this piece here, I cut it, and now since this layer is still selected, I can paste it and it will insert this onto the second layer. And now you see nothing happens. The reason is this layer 2 has no workflow. 0 operations are applied on this one, whereas layer 1 has 2 operations, contour and engrave, but it also has only this geometry here. So let's remove here completely the contour operation and instead put a contour operation on this second layer. And then you can see this no longer has 2 lines and the small dashes here disappeared. So now it's properly separated and different operations are applied to different parts of the geometry. Let me give you a rundown of all the features that were added in Rayforge 1.0 that you have not yet seen. What you have seen was the text support in the sketcher, which was added. You also may have seen that now you can save here. There are new buttons, save buttons. So you can now save and later load projects. Then also in the sketcher, aspect ratio constraint support was added. You see this symbol here. Right now, if I drag this, I cannot drag it, it won't move. But if I remove the constraint, then now you can see I'm able to change the aspect ratio. The engraving steps now have an invert setting. So let me go to this engrave step. Here you see the invert box. If you have a workpiece that has white shapes on it and you want to engrave the white areas, then previously could not do that. Now you can with the invert switch, it's possible. Another invisible change is that the installers now register the file types. So for example, if you want to open a PNG with Rayforge now on your operation. Another new feature that was added is that the Another less visible change is that now file types are properly registered with your operating system. So you should be able to, for example, open PNG files in Rayforge, just using the means that your operating system provides for it. Of course, it's different for each operating system. Windows and Linux are supported at this time. macOS support is also being worked on. The importers were all improved. Almost completely rewritten. Let me show this with the example of a DXF. This one here. If I open this now, you now here have the multi-layer support included. Also get some indication of how much geometry is actually on each layer. Here this description was added, and now you can do partial imports if you want. And you can also have automatically each layer created in the app for you. It's not all imported to the same layer, depending on this switch here. If you need more help, head over to our website. There we have extensive user documentation, and there's also a link to our Discord where you can get more help. The community has grown quite a lot, so I'm sure you will find somebody to help you out. I hope you enjoy Rayforge, and I'd be happy to hear your feedback. Write a comment under the video. Join the Patreon, where I sometimes post extra content, or join us on Discord. Have a good day.